What's up, Silas here, just taking a walk. Came to a realization. I'm walking around listening to something I'm recording about black rednecks and white liberals, which is a book I did a review of. It's a short review of. But I was talking about, I said in that video, I was like, okay, I was talking about how different cultures in America came to be. And I've also mentioned several times that I really agree with what Victor David Hanson said, Dr. Victor David Hanson said about the United States of America, that it's the first multiracial, successful country or area or civilization, but it's never been multicultural. So when you think about it in that way, there's a difference between culture and tribes. When you think of a place like Japan and you say Japanese culture, I think people just have an assumption that it's an ethno-nationalist state. So there's not going to be that many differences. Yet they have tribes like, for example, the Ainu tribe, which I've talked about in this one manga that I'm reading, Golden Kamuy, that goes into the actual behavioral patterns and languages and customs of this place. So you can have customs, you can have different customs and still be part of a culture. You can have one language and have different dialects of that language. You don't really say it's going to be a different one, even though people speak with different accents, use different words and things like that, and have even different meanings for the actual things. Because when you look at a country like here in Nairobi, Kenya, okay, in Kenya, not Nairobi, Kenya, but you just look at a country like Kenya, and there's many different tribes, many different languages, many different customs, many different traditions. The way they get married is different. The way they approach people is different. The things they fight over are different. The things they consider to be wealth is different. But if you look at all these 42 tribes, do you really consider them to be different Kenyan cultures? Or would you look at it and say, that's just Kenyan culture? Be it Maasai tribe, be it the Luos, be it the Luyas. Would you all consider it to be part of Kenyan culture? So even though there are differences, it's still the same thing. Which is why I'm saying there's aspects of American culture, which is white people, black people, Asian people, Jewish people, that kind of general type thing, Jews for Trump, Asians for Trump, or Black Lives Matter, it's okay to be white. All these things are uniquely American cultural artifacts. They don't really exist in other places, at least they don't mean the same things. So you have people talk about the black culture, but black culture in the United States of America is called black culture because it's not called Ghanaian. It's not called the tribe that they came from. These tribes came together in the United States of America, an entirely new area, an entirely new civilization, and then developed a specific set of customs and behavioral patterns that are within, I think, the greater American culture, if that makes any sense. I'm going to try to develop this because I want to actually be very specific about the words that I'm using on certain of these things because, so let me know what you guys think about that. So I'd like to make a clarification about what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about categorization. There's nothing inherently negative about this. And this whole idea that categories are equal, I don't necessarily think that's true. And when you look at something with numbers, there's different numbers. There's the 10s, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. You can see these are categorized in those kind of things as even numbers, as odd numbers. These are different categories. But these things, by definition, when you categorize something as something else, it is something else. It doesn't fit the actual category that you have it not in, if that makes any sense. You're talking about these things as different categories because they're different. So I think we need to come back from this whole idea that, oh, we just embrace all our differences and things like that. Because first of all, if you want to actually do that, you need to take that down to the individual point, because even within these categories, you say, okay, this tribe, this group of people, Americans like Americans more than like these other people, but then within the Americans, they like different groups of Americans more than different people. And when it comes down to within even your family, you like different family members more than that. Even within your body, people are right-handed or left-handed. Both are arms, both are hands, but in general, very few ambidextrous people who would just be like, I would equally use my left hand as much as my right hand for any kind of thing. So this whole idea that equality, no. And first of all, categorization does not mean one is more positive and one is more negative, but it definitely does not make things equal. I don't think you can have equal and separate categories. If it's equal, it would just be the same thing. You would need to categorize things in different ways.